Dr. Edward Hollowell, thank you for joining us, and thank you for being here, Nancy, on the Valder Beebe Show.
Thanks for having us.
Dr. Hollowell, you're one of the country's foremost medical experts on ADHD, and I'd love to have an opportunity to ask you a few questions. And I'll start with, as this leading medical expert, can you shed some light on the prevalence of the ADHD in both children and adults?
It's more common than most people realize. The official figure is around 5%. But in fact, I think the actual figure is higher because the official definition for the diagnosis requires severe impairment. You can have, in my opinion, ADHD and be impaired only to the extent that you're underachieving. Well, that's not good enough for the DSM. So we leave out a big chunk of the population because there is a big chunk of the population who have this condition but are not impaired. They're only underachieving. Anyway, that's a long answer to saying it's much more common than you think.
Well, help us to understand how it's evolved over the years and what challenges still exist today.
Well, over the years, 500 years ago, this was thought of as you're stupid or lazy or wayward or morally corrupt. So thank God we've gone past that. And today we recognize it as a genetically transmitted neurological difference rather than disorder. I see it as a difference. And we've developed ways of treating it so that you can develop the positive attributes that go with it, not just aim at modifying the negative. So the way I like to think of it is we, on the one hand, attend to the problematic symptoms, but even more important, we unwrap the gifts that are embedded in these children and these adults. And that's why working with this condition can be absolutely life-changing in such a positive way. You can go from thinking you're a loser to being a total winner.
I like that, being a total winner. Nancy, I'm going to ask you, as you're the executive producer of the film The Disruptors, can you tell me a little bit about creating this film?
Sure. Well, I raised 3 children with ADHD, and I figured out pretty quickly that this is a deeply misunderstood diagnosis. So I wanted to create a film and a campaign that would really cut through the confusion and the misinformation and the pervasive myths around ADHD by democratizing the best information from the top experts in the field. We want parents to be liberated with their children, to know that they're not alone and that there is an upside to ADHD. So this is fundamentally reframing what we formerly understood as a deficit and a disorder as a brain type or a trait that comes with some challenges that do need to be managed, but that also comes with some pretty significant and impressive strengths.
Based on your experience, you've got a lot of personal experience. What will the film relay to parents and educators about ADHD?
Well, if your child is struggling with things like focus and organization and behavioral or emotional impulsivity and maybe coupled with anxiety, then it's probably time to get an evaluation and maybe a treatment plan if that's appropriate. But what we really need is to foster a connection between teachers and students. Kids with ADHD need positive connection. So getting teachers on board, getting a 504 plan, which is an individualized learning plan that they're legally entitled to, and then finding tutors and coaches to help with things like organization and routines. But for parents, don't sit back. Stay actively involved in your child's education, particularly during the middle school years where it can be really challenging.
And finally, I'd like to ask you, I'm sure other parents can relate to what you're saying. Where do they go for information on this film?
You can go to upsideofadhd.org for more information and resources. And to find the film, you can go to disruptorsfilm.com.
Thank you so very much. Dr. Hollowell, people, their children are having this challenge. Where do they get more information? How do they find the right kind of medical help for their kids?
Well, the parent finds the help for the child, and they usually start by turning to the pediatrician. Now, keep in mind, these pediatricians are way too busy these days, way too busy. So if you're lucky, you'll get a 5-minute visit. And so you want to supplement your pediatrician, and pediatricians are the first to agree with this, by getting additional help from a psychiatrist who's trained in it, like me, although we're very rare too, to a psychologist who's trained in it, to a social worker. They're the best of all, in my opinion, because they're strength-based, and they're also more available than psychologists or psychiatrists. So you want to expand your support and expert network to go beyond the pediatrician. But you want to start by recognizing it in the first place, the tip-off that should come from the teacher or just from the performance in school. If your child is working way too hard to produce less than ideal results, that's a tip-off for ADD. If they're underachieving, unexplained underachievement is the biggest tip-off. And then take it to your pediatrician, but take it from there. Don't stop there. You're going to need more help usually than the pediatrician can give you.
Valder, I just wanted to mention that from now until October 6th, we are offering complimentary access to the disruptors on upsideofadhd.org.
That's good, because I was going to ask you once again, where can my audience find out more information? Because I see them on social media. And that's where they can find more information, Nancy?
Upsideofadhd.org, and until October 6th, you can. The film is complimentary, The Disruptors.
Okay, well, you guys head on over there, and Dr. Hollowell and Nancy have well prepared us to know what we are going to find. Thank you both for joining me on the Valder Beebe Show and talking to my audience.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Valder Beebe, host of the Valder Beebe Show. We have over 1,000 videos on ValderBeebeShow.com and YouTube.com/ValderBeebeShow. We upload new videos daily. Our site is a modern baby boomer platform with news and information important to boomers. Subscribe to YouTube.com/ValderBeebeShow and stay connected as I interview the world's most fascinating people.